So today we are talking about scripts and dialogues. I have a huge smile on my face. Anthony, why you don't tell him why?
He hates scripts. just so you guys know, this guy hates scripts, and I love him. You wanna start off?
Look, I would be straight up. Like when I started with this, I felt like it was a waste of time. The scripts, the whole role playing thing, I felt funny at doing it. It just wasn't in my comfort zone, right? And Anthony used to he used to always try to get me to do it with him when we first started. And what I would say is, in my head, I thought me and him sounded the same, like when we were talking to people. But when he was on the phone versus when I was on the phone, he would get to certain points where he was about to close them or get the appointment, and I kept struggling, getting cursed out and getting hung up on. So it was like, okay, there's a realization, right? This kid is always coming in and he's practicing the scripts. When I come in, he's role playing with other agents. And it definitely, like, if we were on a race, he was so far ahead because he kept on doing it. He kept on doing the objection handlers and things like that. I was like so far behind because I'm thinking, in my life, like I'm a very social person, right? And I don't really have problems starting conversations with people. So I'm like, in New York, I'm thinking I could just start a conversation with somebody, but it's so much harder to do that over the phone in New York because people don't have the time.
Yeah, they just want to get off the phone.
Exactly.
What do you want?
So I'll throw it back to him, man. I just say that he was so far ahead of me when it came to speaking to people on the phone and, just sounding so much more professional. It goes a long way when you practice.
Yeah, I would, it's crazy because now that you say that, it just brings me back to when we first started in this office and we were in the basement, and that's how we pretty much came cool through after role playing and going over a couple of things. And it's just, to me, for one, I got the role scripts and stuff from my mentors that I do look up to. So they're in a completely different business as well, but what they do is they're always on the phone. So they told me their number one thing was scripts. So once I got into the business, I looked at the scripts that they had, and I completely looked at it and said, this isn't going to work. There's no way that me saying this is going to work. I don't even hear myself saying this. But after doing it over and over and over and over and over again, what you come to realize is not necessarily about the script. It's more so how you get the message out and how they hear it, and just knowing when to come back to a certain point. So let's say you get on the phone and you call your seller, you call your buyer, or whoever you call, you know the objective, you know where you need to get to, and you know if they may derail you. You may be talking to, hey, how you doing? What type of house you're looking for, this, and that. And then they'll go talk about their kids, go talk about the pools and other states. And then you need to know where to bring the conversation back to get the answers that you need to get in order to help them to get where they need to be. So you have to, the thing about learning scripts is just remembering a certain order that you need to go in, and also knowing what to say to them. Each person, each individual here on this chat have a different way of getting that script out. We don't all have to sound the same. Me, Ray, you don't have to sound the same at all. The thing is knowing what you have to say and then spicing it up. You're basically, everyone here probably, if you cook, each one of you have different ingredients that you use, but you may cook the same chicken, but you have different ingredients or whatever you may cook. That's what scripts is about. Ray may practice his scripts and then come off different on the phone than I do, but we're saying the same thing. And as long as you're getting that out to the client or whoever you're calling, that's the main objective. You want to make sure you're constantly and you know where to bring the conversation back to. This way you didn't miss anything. And then when you have a certain script that you have and you need to answer certain questions, you're getting them answered in the order that you need it. So this way, when you get off the phone, you don't have to be like, oh man, I forgot to get this information. My main thing when I first started was always forgetting if they were working with another agent. And then next thing you know, what happens with that? I end up doing all the hard work, getting off the phone with them, looking up all these properties, and then sending it to them and then calling them and they say, hey, well, I forgot to tell you I was working with another agent. They sent me the same property, or I'm gonna send them the properties you sent me. And then where does that leave me? That leaves me right back at square one over and over again and not having a client. So having that script with the one that I use for my buyers helped me a lot with verifying and qualifying my client.
And also, I just want to touch on one thing that I didn't say in the beginning. If there's anybody on this call that doesn't believe in scripts, dialogues, or role playing, or doesn't think that's going to help them in their business, let me be the first to tell you that's what I thought, and I was very wrong. And one of the examples I'll tell you is when we first started, there's a script that when people call for your apartments, right? There's a certain amount of information, well, certain information that you're looking for, right? If there were no scripts, or if I didn't listen to scripts, it's kind of like I'd be running in circles, speaking to people, asking the same questions over and over. How I realized that the scripts do work is one time me and Anthony, we answered the phone different times, but we asked the exact same questions. Like, for example, someone calls you for an apartment, you want to find out how many people they're moving with, what the combined annual income is, credit scores. So it's like the bones of the script were there. We say almost the same exact things, and we're on the phone less with the people. So if you look at it, that script gets you the information you need. You're off the phone with the person. You're not on the phone for too long, and just following that will, I feel like, make you more efficient on each phone call, right? So it was at that point when I had my aha moment, like, oh, damn. So I follow the script, follow the dialogue. I'm getting all the information I need. Anthony's doing the same thing. All right, I need to start role playing. And it was only up until that point when I was role playing with Anthony that I got better on the phone. I got more comfortable on the phone. And now, like, he's still way better at it than I am. But I'm not scared of it, and I'm not afraid to get on the phone. And sometimes just role playing, a half hour, 15 minutes before
a lot
helps out, right? Like, it definitely. And then he has something that's like objection handlers that I feel like when you're studying scripts, it's very important to touch on.
Yeah, very, very important, because you have, what these objection handlers do is basically give you all the hard questions that your seller or buyer or whoever it may be will ask you. And when they ask you, you won't be stumbled, and you'll know, oh, I remember that. And the one thing so it's 38 objection handlers that they give you. The way I did it when I started was I took the first 3 to 5 and read it every day. Whether it's maybe 2 to 3 times a day. I read it every day, and then I decided, let's say in 2 days, I'm gonna go to the next 5. And then 2 days, I'll go to the next 5 until I get to 38. And then I had a partner that I was doing that with, and at the end of the week, we'll just go through the whole 10. Let's say for that week, we'll do 1 through 5, Monday through Wednesday. Then Wednesday to Friday, we do 5 to 10. So that Saturday, we'll do 1 through 10 and go through it to see which ones we remember and which ones we don't, so we can practice a little more on. And what you realize is that it seeps into your subconscious mind. And that's basically, that's basically where you want it to go in your subconscious mind, where you're just on autopilot. And you got to realize half of the things that we do today, we're on autopilot. You don't even realize. As far as if you drive, you get in the car, you unlock your car, you get in the car, you start it, you drive, you're just on autopilot. You don't even realize it. If you ever been in a car, I'm sure some of you dazed out, didn't even realize how far you got, but that's because you know how to drive now, you know how to turn the car on, and you know how to press the gas, and you know how to turn. That's all in autopilot, and you're just going. So the way you turn your shower on, the way you put your soap on, the way you cook, everything is on autopilot already because you've been doing it for so many years. So that's the same thing with scripts. If you practice it over and over and over, you will get familiarized with everything that you're reading, And then it becomes much easier. And then when you're talking to the clients, it's just coming out like a flow of water. And then now you sound like the professional that you are, because it's coming out so easy. And it's like, wow, you're very intelligent. You know the market, you know this. But all it was 15 to 30 minutes of your time each day to go over this stuff.
Yeah, because think about it. If you call someone and you're like fumbling over your words, you're like, nobody wants to stay on, especially in New York. They hear that, they're hanging up on you. I know for a fact when people call me, because I'm in sales, I give them a hard time when they call. So you have to just be prepared. And I feel like with the scripts, it's gonna take out the stuttering, you know what I mean? Does anybody have any questions so far as like scripts, dialogues, opinions on the scripts and dialogues? Okay. One thing I'm going to say is there are some scripts out there that may not work for us. And when I say that is we're in New York, right? We deal with a different beast, right? Some of these scripts, you'll notice when you're reading them, maybe for people out of state that have the time to stay on the phone. You know what I mean? Like some scripts that are out there you may not use, or you may have to tailor to
a little bit different.
Yeah, make it different for us, because you got to understand we're New Yorkers. We don't want to stay on the phone for too long.
We're always in a rush. We always got something to do. Where can I get a copy of the scripts that you guys use? I use
Tom Ferry.
Now. I use Tom Ferry scripts.
And they're free. Right. You can go to, you can type in free real estate scripts, and Tom Ferry is probably going to be one of the first ones that come up in Google, and you download the PDF versions and they'll be there.
Absolutely. And as far as, so I wanted to fill you guys in also. So as far as scripts and the way you say things and things like that, so 7%, it's the words that you use. 38% is your tone. And then about 55% comes from your body language. So what that basically says is it's only 7% of the words that you're using that you need to get to your client. The 38% is your tone. So the tone, so basically when I do my scripts and I do my role plays, or once I get on the phone, I always stand up.
That's a key thing.
A very key thing.
A lot of people don't realize, like when you're sitting down or you're relaxed, that comes across on the phone. Something I yelled at my little cousin the other day because we were talking about, it was a business transaction and he just sounded low energy. And then I was like, why do you sound like that? And he goes, I'm laying down, what's the problem? And it was one of those things where it's like, okay, when you're sitting down, you're also relaxed. When you stand, you're looking at yourself in the mirror and you're smiling while you speak, you sound way different like right now. Look, I'm talking to you guys. I don't have a smile on my face. I probably sound like an a-hole, but let me try this again. Hey guys, look, you see the enthusiasm, everything, the smile on my face, it makes a difference. Your delivery is going to make a difference. Yes. And that carries over on the phone. If someone's having a bad day and you're cold calling them and you're trying to sell them something and you sound like this, like a monotone, and guess what? Yeah. You get a person like me, I'm probably going to curse you out and then hang up, not just hang up. So you gotta work on that. I gotta work on that. But I'm just saying, you have your energy, it carries through on the other side. So you gotta be very conscious of that.
Yes, vibration is key. So like we said, just be very conscious of that. And then also with the I wanted to touch on.
You want to do a role play?
No.
Okay.
No, we could. I mean, I know what I wanted to touch on. So one of the things that I used to say, especially when you're on the phone too, my main goal on the phone, I don't know if you remember this, was to always get them to laugh.
Yes.
Once I got them to laugh or smile, I know that they're smiling, I felt like I was winning. So I had this one script that was, it said, because agents were, the favorite thing about FSBOs and for sale by owners, they said, 1,000 of you guys called me already today. And then my thing was, these guys are, they're like rats coming out of the woodwork, aren't they? And then they would start laughing. And then you go, you know what? You're right. And then that stirs up conversation. But what that does is allow them to be comfortable now. It breaks the tension, it breaks the ice. And it seems like I just said that as a joke, but that was a script that I was using. They didn't even know that. And then for one, so another thing I want to talk to you guys about, the delivery of the script. And that's why I say rehearse, 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 and get it down packed, because it was a time where I believe it was, I don't think it was Tom Ferry, because they're pretty good, but it was someone else that called me. They called me and they were playing a script on me. And I'm just like, I take those calls. When they call me and they're trying to sell me something, I take it, because that's a way of me getting better on the phone and knowing what not to do and what to do. So they're calling me and they're telling me something, they're trying to sell me. I hear the guy in the background telling him what to say. So I'm like, why is it I said, won't you put the guy on the phone that knows the script on the phone, because you're not doing a great job right now. So, and sometimes it's you may say it's messed up, but sometimes you have to tell them that, because that's how they're going to get better. Because if they don't know that, they're going to keep continuing to go to the next person. So you want to know the script. This way it doesn't come off as a script. I can talk to you guys and it will be a complete script and you will not know, because I'm engaging in the conversation. I can change it up at any point because I know where I need to bring it back to, and then keep going and ask you the questions I need to ask you in a different way.
And that comes from practice.
Yeah.
Him being able to do that. I watched him do it. The people will bring him off topic. He gets right back onto the questions that he needs to ask to get the information or whatever his goal is for that conversation. And that takes a lot of practice, because sometimes people throw you off and then they're like, oh, okay, I gotta go. He still will bring it back to, okay, well, I'm gonna come back. We're gonna have the appointment tomorrow at 4. You know what I mean? And when you're practicing these scripts, they teach you. You don't ask or leave room for people to say no to you. And when you get better at that, that's when you're gonna get better on the phone.
Yeah. And then what was it before? It's you ask a question.
What do you mean?
You get a question, you ask a question,
Mm-hmm.
and then you give
them a choice. You don't leave it an open-ended question. You give them, okay, are you going to be available tomorrow at 4? Was tomorrow at 5 or 6 p.m. work for you? This way, they can't say no. They're going to pick either one of those answers. You know what I mean? And if they hit you with a no, that's not going to work, then you hit them with the next day. Okay, so what about Wednesday or Thursday? You know, this way you just don't give them that opportunity to say no.
Yeah, and you never want to go ice on a conversation. If you know your scripts, you know what comes next. If they hit you with something and then you stumble and then you don't know where to go next, the conversation is going left. They're going to think you don't know what you're doing. And then that's when the deal is done. So you want to make sure you rehearse. You want to make sure you give yourself, it doesn't even have to be that long, 20 to 30 minutes a day. You don't even know how far that can get you in the first month. 20 to 30 minutes. I think each and every one of you guys on this call today, I'm sure you can do it. 30 minutes a day, just practice something. I don't care if it's 5 scripts, 1 script, just go over it over and over and over and over again. And if you guys ever are in the office and you want to set up a day, definitely reach out to me or Ray. We're willing to do role playing. We're willing to do, even if it's on the phone, it doesn't even matter. We can do a role play over the phone. If you got, we used to do what, every 30 minutes or every hour? I would say 30 minutes on the phone. We'll call each other and just do role playing. I'll go first. I'll be the seller. He'll be the buyer. Then we exchange and do vice versa. And then also when you're doing that, you want to give feedback, whether it's good or bad. Because if we're doing role playing, I'm going to tell Ray straight up, doesn't sound good. Well, at least to my personality. Yeah. So we all have different personalities. So maybe my perspective on how I thought about it was different. So this way he knows how someone else can take it, or know your client and you know how to use it. So give feedback, whether it's good or bad, because that's how we're going to get better. And I'm all good for bad criticism, like whatever you want to give me, I'm good for it. It's up to me whether I want to change it or not. And if you're telling me something that can possibly work, I'm going to try it. If it doesn't work for me, then I'm going to move to the next thing. But you need to do that. And don't be afraid to tell someone, listen, you need to do it. I think you should say it this way. Try it. It's multiple. I watch people get on the phone, and I'm telling them, I'll sit there and say, I think you should do it this way. This will work. Don't want to listen. And it just leads to not, like, every time I was listening to the conversation, it was getting nowhere. And you have to be willing to take that criticism and use it and change it up a little bit. Because if something's not working over and over and over, you have to change it up. It could be just the way you say something. It could be, like we said, your body language, anything. Move around, they feel your energy. A person that calls me that's low energy and draining, I'm sorry. Like Ray said, I ain't gonna curse you out, but I'm gonna hang up.
One point I want to make when it comes to the scripts and dialogues, right, is if you think about it, any type of job that requires you to call comes with a script, right? Think about it, cold calling. If you are cold calling, whether it be for, like, anybody seen The Wolf of Wall Street? That when you're cold calling on Wall Street, I have a friend that, they used to cold call, and they have a script. If you go to any type of telemarketing cold calling job, there's a script. And that the reason for that is nobody's gonna come out and just be all natural on the phone. You have to practice, and you have to, this is one of those things that you cannot, like, really get away from in real estate unless you come from family that has a big book of business, and you're gonna get all these referrals, and you don't need to get on the phone. Listen, if that's you, then please send me some referrals. That'll be great. But one thing is, you're gonna have to learn this skill. We're in this business of sales, and cold calling is a thing that whenever your pipeline starts to dry up, guess what you'd have to start doing? Cold calling. So at that point, you don't want to learn how to cold call 6-7 years into the business, because you've already probably made the money. It's going to be harder for you to be, open your mind to certain things. You got to start in the beginning, start now, and continue to practice, because once you get better with that, it doesn't matter whose referrals you're getting. At any point, you can pick up and move to another state and start your business, because you know how to call and how to get your business over the phone.
Yeah. And tell them how you're already programmed. If someone calls you while you're in the car, you know what to say already. You don't even realize it, but you know the questions that you need to ask, because you didn't practice the script over and over again. So I know what I need to ask to get what I need.
Exactly. And it just makes you sound like a professional now at that point. I want to deal with someone that's not, stuttering with the questions he's going to ask, or not knowing what he's going to ask. I want to know that the person that I'm dealing with is a professional and knows what questions to ask. And that comes from looking at scripts, dialogues, depending on what scenario we're talking about. There's a lot of different scripts and dialogues when you're dealing with expires. There's different scripts with FSBOs. There's different scripts when you're taking apartments and what questions you have to ask.
Right. And so I want to open the mic to anyone. Anyone has any questions as far as how to start, what to do. Someone already asked what scripts do we use. I use Tom Ferry personally. It's a bunch of scripts that you can check. I think we have some on KW. You can go take a look at, like Ray said, you can Google it. They come up and they're out there. It's the one that suits you.
Yeah, we would suggest looking at a few different scripts, practicing it, trying it out on someone, and see what
So I know that different brokers have different uniforms. Do you think it would be wise before using a script to actually consult with your broker?
When you said different brokers have different, I didn't hear the word
uniforms of doing things, or uniforms of screening and things like that.
Yeah, I think that is definitely a best practice. If you have that time with your broker, or you can get them on the phone, just run it by them and say, hey, I have this script, and if there's anything in the script that you feel like you need to ask your broker about, then definitely run it by him. But for the most part, in the scripts, in the free ones that I saw, that it's like general. There's nothing that you could say like that's going to get you in trouble. But if there's anything in the script that you feel like you have a question about, definitely run it by your broker.
And once you start, if your broker has a structure that they already used, I'm sure they will give it to you off the bat. Like if they have a certain way they introduce their company or whatever the case is, they should have it right off the bat. If not, then I would say use the one that suits you, or ask them first to see if they recommend any, and then you can definitely go from there.
Cool, thanks.
But here at KW, we got these nice scripts over here for you. Let's see. Anyone else?
Is anybody on the call using scripts or has used scripts in the past?
Everybody muted. Anybody?
Hi.
Hello.
I've never used script for one reason. I just want to sort of get a little feedback on that, right? So I know this one professional. He's very successful at what he does. He's been in the business for many, many years. And every time he talks to me, just want to hit my head over the wall, because it feels like I'm not getting my message across. I'm not getting any sort of stuff that I need from him, but I'm sure he's getting stuff from me. So, and I realized at some point that he is using scripts. He has always been using scripts, and I actually read them at some point. I was, what? So I found it kind of annoying, because I am, the receiving end, right? So like if when real estate transaction, I would be like the seller. So it's just one thing that I don't really like to come across as like a hard seller. I just like somebody that just pushes myself onto people. I would rather take a step back. Have any of you experienced any of that, or is just the type of script? Like, I think that must be it, but just want to see what you guys think about it.
I could say,
does it make sense? I don't know if it makes sense.
No. It makes a lot of sense. And I could say, personally for me, I'm more of a person, my personality is, if you don't want to do something, I'm not forcing you to do anything. I'll find a business somewhere else, whether it's you or whoever, but we all have a goal. And my thing is to not come off salesy. I hate it. I'd rather come off to a point of contribution. So the main thing is, when you're speaking to someone, no matter who it is, if you're looking for something out of them or looking to do business with that person, you should find the value of what you bring to the table for that person. So you have to look for, if a seller was to call me, I think I went over this before, a seller was going to a for sale by owner. I Googled a couple things about the property, and I seen that he lived in the city and he didn't live at this property. So I knew it was causing him a headache to go back and forth to manage this property. So basically I saw my value right there. And when I got to the table, I explained that to him, like, listen, you're coming from the city to Queens to show someone, if they happen to just call and cancel on you after you done paid toll, you wasted gas, and you came all the way over here, that's a lot of time that you're wasting. So my value right there was, that was enough for him, because he opened his eyes and saw, like, wow. So once you have that value and your contribution, it comes out much easier. You don't want to come as a salesperson. They may not want to buy or sell right then and there. That's fine. But consistency is key, and always stay on top of them from moving forward. So I would say, you don't have to be too salesy. Just know what you need to ask them, know where your value stands, know what you can offer them, and play off of that. Trust me, if they see your value, they're gonna call you back, or they're gonna do the deal right then and there with you. But just always try to find the value, and then I think you'll be good.
Thank you.
If that helped, I hope that answered.
It did.
Hey
you.
guys.
Okay.
Hey, how are you guys doing? Good. I had a little bit to share about what her situation is. I was in a similar situation at my last job, and the guy who was overseeing me gave me great advice. You're having a framing problem. When a seller's too pushy, right? He thinks he's in control, that you're not going to help him anything. You have to see what kind of a personality he is. That's what he told me, because what happens is some guys are pushy all the way through. So you have to let them be pushy and pretend like you're taking a backseat. So they think they're winning, but you're still guiding them underneath. That's a way of getting the super pushy guys. And some people are pushy just because they're testing you, right? When they're just testing you, you immediately check them right back. You tell them that I am the expert, I am in charge, you are not. And then you can finish your script. You don't even have to, most people don't use scripts, but if you actually look at like what you're actually doing, if the person is pushing, they want to fight. Either they want you to fight or they want you to back off and run. But even though if you want to back off and run, you can still be there, hover around and guide them eventually, confuse them, completely confuse them. But that comes in framing. You have to look at what you are. Oh, I'm in a dominant position. I'm in a submissive position.
That sounds good.
It's
that
like playing chess.
Like a marriage.
It's like playing chess,
right. You got it. I take the back seat all day. That's the thing. You can't always look for as taking over. Some people are you as you said have can you guys hear us?
Yeah.
Okay. As you said, you got to know who you're dealing with on the other end. Some people are high D's or whatever they are, they may come off like that. And sometimes you do have to take that back seat and say, okay. And just like when a seller is to say, I want to go with this price. And I'm telling him the price that we should go in the range. Okay, we'll take your price and we'll do that for a month. If that doesn't work, then we'll revisit what I said. Yeah.
Exactly.
That's just how it goes sometimes,
because you have to give up a pawn for a bigger piece,
Exactly.
If he's just being a little too pushy, you let him go, but you control it. You still have to frame it right, because they fight for the frame.
It's not going to work for everybody. You have to know your person. Like, I'll tell you straight up, if you called me on some, I'm in charge, you'd get hung up on.
No, obviously, I would let you set up your, my bad, I'm sorry. I will let you set up your situation, and then I would assess you, because I'm going to touch you. I'm going to be selling you immediately. I'm going to close you every time I'm talking to you. So I'm going to touch you with, I'm from his, I'm from that. And I see if you're not listening to me at all, then I'm going to fight you a little bit. If you're saying, you don't want to be pushed around, I'll back up. But then I would make you think like you have room, but then I would use the script to move that along.
Exactly.
So it gives that
gap.
Feel
like you have to get a good feel for the conversation before you could decide whether you're going to push the person or you're going to sit back.
No, but that's like you get a feel almost immediately. When you see someone like face to face, because my experience a little bit with door knocking, so I can see a person. I know their body language. I'm seeing them. All right, if they're timid, they're backed off. I'm going to approach a little bit cautiously. Wave from a distance, and I know what the environment around me is too, that's what you mean with the body language being like a 55%. That's what you're looking at. And that's harder on the phone.
You don't have that advantage.
Yeah, that's harder on the phone, but you can still fight for them for the most part.
Right. Absolutely.
Yeah. If that helps.
Yeah, but you have to sharing that as well.
Yeah, you have to think about it framing. Everything is framing. It's me saying something, you saying something. Where are you coming from? Where am I coming from? Where do we both need to go? Yeah. And some people don't work. And then, that's when you find a no. And then you move on to the next yes.
Absolutely.
Yep. Yeah.
Absolutely. I agree. Thank you. Anybody else had any situations they were dealing with or any questions for us? I guess everyone is good. Listen, I hope this class taught you guys something or you learned something. And if it's anything that you need from us, if you guys are willing to do role playing or whatever the case may be,
please
let's
don't hesitate to reach out. We'd love to do it with you guys. I'd be the first to say I still need to practice my scripts and dialogues too. I'm not 100% great at it, so like I got the guy right next to me that I could always practice with. But I'm open to doing it with anybody. If you guys want to come into the office to do it over the phone, role play, practice scripts, we're definitely open to it.
Yes.
Absolutely.
And okay, that's all we got. And I guess we'll see you guys next week, Wednesday, 2:00, same time. Different
Thanks,
week.
guys.
Thanks,
Thank you
guys.
guys.
Have
Have a nice day.
wonderful day, guys.